What's up, guys? Thanks for coming to check out another tool review video. Today we are staying in the SKIL corded power tool line, checking out the miter saw. This is the SKIL MS6305, the 15 amp miter saw from SKIL. This has integrated LEDs for a LED shadow line, which is very nice, a dual bevel system with sliding rails. I love that this thing has a 10-inch blade with a large cut capacity to allow us to cut some bigger material. Best of all, it comes with that extended 3-year warranty from SKIL once you register it at myskil.com. This is a much needed upgrade. This is the miter saw I've been using. My father-in-law was super generous and let me borrow his. I've had to do some work to it. Before I get it back to him, I'm going to do a zero clearance insert. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. But let's get into this and get this thing out of the box. I always get self-conscious when I'm cutting open these boxes because I feel like I look like an idiot just trying to find out where the tape is at. They pack these suckers tight. It is hard to get them out. If you watched my SKIL table saw review video, the assembly to that only took about 20 minutes. This appears like it's going to take a little bit longer than 20 minutes. There's a few more components. I will show you guys similar fashion to what I did last time with a time lapse and everything else. As we're getting everything out, here's a little show of the fence as well as the dust bag. Just showing you the components that are packed in here tight, and we have the clamp to hold down the material while we're cutting. If we can get this styrofoam off, we will see the saw in her beauty in her little plastic cocoon. And there she is, folded down tight. I was a little intimidated as I was looking at this in the box because it is a large footprint, much larger footprint than what I thought it was. But once I picked it up, I realized it's just really not all that big. All right, welcome to my makeshift stain table. Just got done finishing up a project for a customer, and we're going to get it assembled on here. So let me get everything laid out to show you all the different components. Pass me an infinity gauntlet with how well that snap was. Here's the instructions. You're going to use this to assemble and tune the saw, and then you get an extra 2 years when you register this on myskil.com. Nobody wants a dusty shop, so make sure you attach that dust collection bag, as well as the carry and transport handle, which comes with those 2 hex bolts there. Here's the adjustable fence. You can move this in and out depending on the angle you're cutting at, as well as the material clamp to hold the material down. Let's see that screw in miter bar and get this thing into assembly. This was way easier to put together than what I thought it was going to be. It looked a lot more intimidating in the box, and it just really wasn't that bad. The instructions do straight up stink. They are not great, and the diagrams that they show are not wonderful, and the words that they use are even worse. It took me about 10 minutes to get it put together. I just thought I was doing everything wrong, but we got it done. Now the most important question is, how does this look in my shop? And I think this is a sharp looking saw. Really like the red, and I like the sleek look of it. Let's actually see how it performs though. Can we get a square cut straight out of the box? The instruction manual does say that this was tuned in the factory, but shipping and handling can make the saw blade get out of square. So let's see how bad it is. First cut on the miter saw was very smooth. I really like that LED shadow line, and you can see off the factory blade there's very little splintering, no burning, and no tear out. What I do realize is that it's hard to check a piece for square without a combination square. So let's run to Menards real quick and grab a combination square and check the square of the blade. Before you check the square of your blade, make sure that your saw is powered off and unplugged. I could tell based off my speed square that it was not a square cut, and you can see a bit of light showing through right there at the bottom. So we're going to have to make some adjustments, which is rather easy. It is not very hard to do this, and it only takes 3 tools: a 4mm hex key, as shown here, a combination square of your choice, I'm using this Master Force one, and then the included screwdriver 10mm hex key combo. Stores in the back of the saw, really convenient. I'll have to do a couple things to get this saw prepared to be tuned and make it easier on myself. I'm first going to pull it all the way forward and loosen up the screw, which will loosen the 0 stop for the bevel, which is right there. After this, I want to lower the saw to its lowest position and lock that down with the pin in the back. After that, tighten down the slide stop and then insert your 4mm hex key into the 4mm hex bolt in the back to adjust square. Then you just go back and forth until you find your blade is square with your platform. This could absolutely be because I'm a newbie and have never adjusted square or tuned up a saw like this, but the instructions were horrible. That's where I found a real disdain for the instructions on this. It didn't really tell me what to do, it just said to make adjustments, and then, like I'm doing here, tighten down the bevel stop. I'm going to actually take off the dust bag and then tighten up the 0 stop, which I just have to make sure lines up to 0 so I'm correct every time. Try to be as accurate and precise as possible through this. If you're even a ½ degree off when you're setting your bevel stop, what will happen is you will have inaccurate cuts because it's not cutting how it reads. You want to use this miter saw to its full capacity and you want it to be accurate. So just make sure you do it right the first time, that way you don't have to do it a bunch of times over. You'll just want to double and triple check all of your work and then look at the camera and give a big thumbs up. Nice job. Now let's see how our saw actually cuts now that we have it all tuned up and squared away. Now this saw just is not too bad. You can see there's just a touch of light peeking through there, but this is pretty accurate. As accurate as I think as we can get it. I think my favorite feature of this saw at this price point is this shadow guide. It actually uses integrated LEDs into the blade housing to shine a shadow on your material. I turn the lights off in my shop so you can get a better idea of it, but this will show you exactly where that blade is going to land, so there's no more of the putting it down and hitting that bump left and right as you're trying to find out where your blade is. I love that the tool that this comes with has a spot for it to live, because I lose these kind of tools way too often. Here we've got the clamp, which you can actually tighten down with those thumb screws, but the fence is just a little tall to get any kind of thinner material, so you're going to have to move that fence out on one by material like this. What's really nice is everything just has a place to live if you're not using it. Here you can just turn this around, tighten down those screws, and you're good to go. Loosening these thumb screws allows you to move the fence out if you're making a 45-degree miter, which is very nice to be able to adjust that back and forth and keep this already pretty substantial footprint down. This is my biggest disappointment in this entire saw, is the inability to use any kind of beginner dust collection system, so we're just stuck with the dust bag for now. Using the included 10mm screwdriver combo tool that's stored in the back here, you can actually loosen up these hex screws down below and expand the workstation and the length of it. I think this is an extremely nice feature. The ability for this to compact down and just take up less space is wonderful. So after getting this saw out of the box, getting it assembled, making a couple of cuts, then getting it tuned up, I do think that this is a good purchase. For the features that this saw has at this price point, I don't know if it can be beaten. Very similar to the SKIL table saw that I made a review on that I will link up above. But at the price point that it is, which I got this at $250, Menards in my area does an 11% rebate this time of the year. So once this is all said and done and I get my in-store credit back, it'll come out to about $220. Very good price point. The LED shadow line is a phenomenal feature. And the other saws that I was looking at Menards that featured an LED shadow line or something similar were anywhere from $100 to double the price of this saw, so $350 to $500. For example, the DWS 779 from DeWalt is a miter saw that does not feature an LED shadow line. That saw is $350. Correction, $400 retail. The DWS 780, which is a very good miter saw, does feature the LED shadow line. However, that's a $500 miter saw. Another correction, that's a $650 miter saw. I was referencing sale prices in these. The other Bosch one that Menards had on sale was a $600 retail, $550 on sale saw, which does feature, I believe, a laser guide. Similar feature, but $600, significantly over the price of this saw. So if you're a beginner, if you're DIY, if you're just starting out in woodworking, or frankly just need a miter saw in the barn, in the garage, wherever it is, I really do think this is the way to go. This also features right here a depth stop. So if you're cutting something for tracks, if you're cutting something for grooves, or if you're cutting dados, you're able to do that on this saw with this depth stop. It slides very easy, glides very smooth, and has a lot of adjustment features that are somewhat easy to use. Now, on the other hand, some things that I really think could have been done better. On the back, the dust port is not able to be used with my shop vac Oneida Dust Deputy 2.5 system, as the dust collection port is just too small. I really think that could have been a feature that would have just made this saw that much better. The tunability of this saw takes a little bit too long, kind of convoluted, and the directions are just not that easy to follow. I tried to find something online. I couldn't find anything from SKIL to show how to adjust the square of the blade, but I ended up getting it there, and as you could see, we made some pretty square cuts. Again, this saw is accurate, and it's going to be as accurate as you want to adjust and tune it to. So for the price point, I think the SKIL Miter Saw is a wonderful purchase, and I am very excited to include this into my arsenal to be able to make some things a whole heck of a lot easier. I also want to mention that the blade that this comes with is a very fine blade. As you can see on this cut, there's no burning, limited splintering, a little bit on this edge here, but enough that I can fix it with my sander. It makes a square cut. We could see that on the combination square. I said it in my table saw video, there's nothing that this blade does that my sander will not be able to fix. It'll create probably per project about 15-20 minutes extra of work, but instead of having to already go out and purchase a $80 blade, this is serviceable for now. Thank you guys for watching this video. I want to remind you that the Bible says that for God so loved the world that he sent his one and only begotten Son, for whoever may believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. If you don't have a relationship with the Lord, if you don't have any idea about what the whole Christianity thing is, reach out to somebody that you know that's a believer. Go to a local church. Reach out to me if you don't have anybody to talk to. I love to share more information and stories about the mighty and loving God that I serve and love a whole bunch. If you are looking for more tool review videos, I recommend this one here. This is my SKIL table saw video, which I believe is the best value for your shop. This video down here is also a good one. Check that one out. And over top of me somewhere should be the link to my channel. Consider a subscription, as I'm going to show you the transformation of this dingy old shop, more tool review videos, and some how-tos. Thank you guys for watching again. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.